There you go. It's recording now.
All right, thank you.
Of course they can hear me.
Okay. Thank you, Bill.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Ed.
Oh.
Welcome to the 2020 September monthly safety meeting. Our vision, we will deliver the best customer experience with industry-leading safety, reliability, and innovation. What does it mean to you? What part do we play in achieving this vision?
Well, the part we play here is that
So, the safety and customer service.
yeah.
Okay. Overview today, during this meeting, we will be talking about pedestrian and bicyclist safety. We also talk about the drug and alcohol program. We will refresh ourselves around the fundamental of the 3-foot rule and looking left, right, left at intersections. Rock and rolling in your seat, intersection and crosswalk, pedestrian, bicyclist, and awareness. Reminder on MV transportation drug policy, and also random drug testing and reasonable suspicion. Fleet safety, part 1, pedestrian and cyclist.
Be alert and pay attention while on the road. Eliminate distractions. Put away your phone, remove your earbuds, and focus on your surroundings. Because that pedestrian, bicyclist, or motorist could be you. Motorists, keep an eye out for pedestrians and bicyclists as you approach crosswalks and intersections. It may be hard to spot them. Stop your vehicle before the crosswalk so pedestrians can safely cross the road. Use your turn signal when changing lanes and turning. Make a right turn from the right curb or roadway edge. If you need to enter or cross a bike lane to turn right, watch for and yield to cyclists who are in the bike lane. Bicyclists ride in the same direction as motor vehicle traffic. Be predictable. Use hand signals when changing lanes and making turns. Motorists yield to pedestrians in or approaching a crosswalk. Pedestrians use crosswalks and follow pedestrian signals when available. If a pedestrian signal is not available, cross the street when the signal light is green in your direction of travel. If a sidewalk is not available, walk on the left side of the road facing traffic. Use shoulders if available. Bicyclists, when riding your bicycle on the sidewalk, yield the right-of-way to pedestrians. Use a bell or announce your presence to a pedestrian. Pedestrians and bicyclists, if you're out at night, increase your visibility. Pedestrians, use a flashlight and or reflective vest for increased visibility. Bicyclists, wear a reflective vest for increased visibility. use a white light on the front of your bicycle and a red light or reflector in the rear. Motorists, use additional caution as you approach crosswalks and intersections at night. Look out for pedestrians and bicyclists. Be careful, because that pedestrian, bicyclist, or motorist could be you.
Columbia Police Department Traffic Unit, we're working on a campaign to educate motorists as well as pedestrians on safety issues, how they should cross the street, when they should cross the street, and drivers of vehicles where they should be stopping, and what they need to be paying attention to as far as the right-of-way for pedestrians. This is an effort to keep everybody safer in Columbia. Some of the tips for drivers, motorists are, when you're stopping at an intersection, it is illegal to stop on the crosswalk. When we stop on the crosswalk, that forces pedestrians to walk around that vehicle out into moving traffic. As motorists, we need to be aware of those things, that we're stopping behind the white stop marks, which is where we should be stopping, to allow plenty of room for pedestrians to get through. As we're coming up to crosswalks, we need to be paying attention. Is there a pedestrian at the edge of the crosswalk getting ready to enter, or from the other side of the street, like this four-way street here, that if they're crossing from the other side, we still need to be slowing down and stopping to allow that pedestrian time to get across in front of us, even though we're on the opposite direction of traffic at that moment. One of the other things that is common in an area like this where there's crosswalks easily identifiable are motorists. They see pedestrians walking up on the sidewalk, getting ready to use the crosswalk probably. So the motorist will speed up, like this white car is going 34 right now through the 20. When it comes to pedestrian safety, one of the things that they can do is to use the crosswalks properly. And that would start by pushing the button on the crosswalk signal to indicate that the light needs to switch for a pedestrian. Oftentimes we see pedestrians, they just look around, nobody's coming, and they just go ahead and take off across the street, violating that signal. Pedestrians need to cross directly straight across. They shouldn't be crossing at an angle that prevents you from seeing if cars are coming from both sides of you. Some of the things that I think pedestrians can do is to wear high visibility clothing to help them be seen. And we can't be rushed. We can't be messing with our phones, listening to Walkmans, whatever it might be, so that we're paying full attention to crossing and making sure that the cars that are coming, we're seeing them, we're allowing plenty of time for us to get across. Bicyclists are supposed to obey all traffic laws. So you're not supposed to be running stop signs, running red lights. You're supposed to ride with the flow of traffic. And one of the complaints that we get in the downtown area are bicyclists riding on the sidewalk. And that's actually illegal to do in the downtown district. Those would be some of the things that we'll be looking for in the upcoming weeks when we start doing enforcement for pedestrian safety. And during that time, you'll be issued summonses for the pedestrian violation, whether you're driving a car or as a pedestrian. We don't want people to be getting hurt by not obeying the laws they should for pedestrians, or driving the car, or riding your bike down the road. We're all in this together, and at some point we all are a pedestrian in our lives. We need to be doing what's safe as a pedestrian, as a motorist, and as a bicyclist.
Now, before we go to the first question, let's talk about bicyclists. Bicyclists everywhere, right?
Everywhere.
Does bicyclists always follow the law, the rules of the road, or the law?
No.
No. And in that case, we, as professional driver, we have to adapt to their mistake. So that means when we do that, we got to make sure that we share the roads with bicyclists. Okay? When passing a bicyclist, proceed to the same direction slowly and leave a 3 feet between your car and the cyclist. That's why this question is, what is the 3-foot rule when driving around a bicycle? what do you think the 3-foot rule driving around, around the bicycle? What do you think that, what do you think the answer for that?
Keep your vehicle, especially your mirrors, at least 3 feet away from the bicyclist when passing him in any way.
That's correct. That's, keeping yourself 3 feet from your mirror when overtaking a bicyclist. Sometimes they ride on bicycle lane. Sometimes when they ride on the bicycle lane and we're on our lane, you gotta think about the mirror, our mirror. Our mirror sticks out about 2 feet out. Now, if you don't give them enough space, what could happen? What could happen?
The mirror gonna hit them.
The mirror will hit them, yes. And that's why we give them the 3 feet rule. From the mirror and 3 feet away from them when we're passing them or overtaking them. And just for safety. And some bicycle riders, they don't actually use the bicycle lane. They get it on the street, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some, when they have other people riding, they overtake the whole street, the whole lane. So that's why when we see something like that, we have to be more cautious. Now, if we have to encroach the other lane to pass them, to pass the bicyclist, we gotta make sure that there's no one that's oncoming traffic, okay, before we encroach that lane. Slow down. We slow down, okay? When turning left and bicyclist is approaching in the opposite direction, wait for the rider to pass. Wait to pass, okay? If you're turning right and a bicyclist is approaching from behind on the right, let the rider go through the intersection first. Let them go first. And always use your turn signals before turning, okay? And always watch your mirror. Watch for bike riders during turning in front of you without looking or signaling. Children especially have a tendency to do all this, right?
Yeah.
So that's why we need to be aware of our surroundings. Be extra vigilant in school zones and residential neighborhood. You know that when there's kids on the residential neighborhood, we always want to make sure that we go less than 20 miles per hour. Because we expect the unexpected. We don't know what they're going to do, okay? Also, watch for bikes coming from a driveway, okay? Or behind parked cars. And sometimes they will just swerve anywhere. And sometimes they don't have, bicycles sometimes don't have headlights. They don't have brake lights. They don't have turn signal. So they'll just sneak up on you, and next you know, it's too late. So just be aware of your surroundings at all times, and check the side mirror before opening your door. Because you never know when you open that door, that bicyclist coming down the hill,
Smash right in
it's gonna run to your door, and that's gonna be that's an accident waiting to happen. So. What should you be looking for when approaching an intersection? What would you be looking for?
Pedestrian if they're bicyclists getting ready to cross.
Pedestrian ready to cross, and what did you say, George?
Bicyclist.
Bicyclist, okay? So we're gonna be watching for pedestrian and bicyclists.
Oncoming traffic.
Oncoming traffic, because the oncoming traffic, they might decide to make a left turn in front of you. how many times have we seen oncoming traffic so undecided, either they're going straight or making a left turn, and they just make that left turn without thinking
Without signaling.
and without signaling. So that's why every time we approach an intersection, what do we do when we approach an intersection?
You let up the gas pedal and cover your brake and scan left, right, and left.
Okay,
Slow down.
slow down. Look left, right, left. Cover your brakes. Now, if you are stopped, come to a nice steady stop. And if you're making a right-hand turn, you look left, right, left. Always stop for at least a minimum of 3 seconds. But what happens if you can't see? What happens if you can't see before turning? What do?
You can creep out and stop and wait for 3 seconds again.
Okay?
That happens a lot.
That do happen a lot because sometimes the stop sign is before the building, right?
Right.
And then there'll be a building there and that creates a blind spot. What's the most important thing we do when we don't see what's coming to your left or to your right?
God,
What do we do? Rock and roll. We rock into our seat. When you rock your body so you can see the right, to the left, right, and left. Very important because before you proceed to make sure that the intersection is clear. Okay? When turning at the intersection, what is very important that you do? What's the very important things that you do?
When what?
Turning into an intersection.
You slow down to 3 to 5 miles an hour for one.
Yeah. Turning
You
speed.
go out far enough to where you're not rounding the corner, you're squaring it off pretty much.
Okay? And don't forget to rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
If you don't see it, be patient. Because you never know
Who's coming?
who's coming. You never know. You might not see that bicyclist if you're not looking at your mirror on your right side. If you don't rock and roll, you might not see that little little kid on the bicycle. If you're fixated in just one to your left, you're not going to see who's on the right. You got to keep your eyes moving at all times.
And communicate.
Correct. When you say communicate, if there is a pedestrian right there at the corner of that that curb and not looking at you, what do?
You make eye contact or tap your horn. Don't blow your horn, just tap it.
Don't blow your horn, right? And just tap it twice. Get eye contact.
Yeah.
Letting them know that you are there. Okay? Now we're going to cover the injury prevention part 2 of the drug and alcohol program refresher.
Opioid painkiller overuse and misuse is an epidemic that kills thousands and costs billions. 54 people die each day from prescription painkillers. That's over 19,500 deaths a year, and that number is growing. Prescription opioid deaths outnumbered heroin deaths in 2015. People in their mid-20s to mid-50s are at the highest risk of death. 1 in 3 Americans do not know prescription opioids are highly addictive. More than 1/2 of opioid misusers get their drugs from friends and family. Opioid use in the workplace. Opioid painkiller use has been shown to increase the risk of workplace errors and accidents. Even some workers who take a regular dose may be too impaired to work, especially in a safety-sensitive position. And nearly 70% of adults addicted to opioids are in the workforce. 7 in 10 employers say they have been impacted by prescription drug usage, absenteeism, or missed work. decreased or impaired job performance, high turnover, injury and accidents, workers' compensation costs, healthcare costs. What can employers do? Train supervisors and managers on how to identify signs of misuse. Develop an employer-initiated treatment program. Create policies and procedures to identify and respond to prescription drug misuse. Educate your workforce on health and safety risks, consequences, and what actions they can take to protect themselves, their coworkers, and their family.
Got a good beat, huh?
Yeah.
What's MD's policy on drug and alcohol?
Zero.
Tolerance.
Zero tolerance. We know that marijuana is legal, but still, that still can't use them. Reason is you have a safety sensitive function. You drive people from their home to where they're going, from businesses to their home. And our main goal is to make sure that we drive them safe from point A to point B. Right.
Another thing is here, we have a federal contract,
Yes, we do.
state laws don't matter. It's a federal law that matters.
Federal law, that matters, yes.
But a lot of people don't realize marijuana stays in your system for 30 days.
You got right that they do.
Alcohol stays in for like 8 or 10 hours or something like that, or
Right.
12 hours, but marijuana stays in your system for a long time.
For a long time. And if you don't think they can't test you without your hair, or they'll do it in a different way. Let's talk about impairment. Spot the signs of impairment and take action. Okay? Impairment risks are everyone's responsibility. Yours, mine, everybody. Okay? Spot the sign. Are your co-worker less focused than usual or unable to stay on the task? Consider alerting others and evaluating the situation safely. And I know that we all have to work together. When we see someone we think that's maybe impaired or smell alcohol, report them. Report him to your supervisor. I'll tell you what happens if you don't report that person and he goes out there and kills somebody, and then you happen to find out who that person was, and you had that conscience in your head, I need to report it. How would that feel? How would that feel to you?
Actually, you will not feel fine. Because you know that the person taking alcohol and you don't want to report it, but you just keep it in mind. So if such thing happens, so that it can stay in mind.
So it'll stick in your mind, huh?
Yeah.
So would you report it? If you find a coworker under the influence, would you report it to your supervisor?
Yes, you have to.
So for your safety and the safety of the community, safety of your clients. But when you report it, it stays confidential. It does. You report that to HR, it stays confidential. Nobody needs to know who reported you. Okay? Once a person has been reported, we'll send a supervisor and that driver for a drug and alcohol test. If it comes back, we will relieve the driver and we'll offer him a ride home. He can refuse to ride home, but we'll make sure that he signs the acknowledgement that he refused to ride home. Reasonable suspicion. I was a supervisor one time. Last job. I had two dispatcher on both of my side. And I was just there at the dispatch area, just checking our credentials. When I was checking the credential, I was smelling something. I just can't quite put it together what that smell was. I have talked to the dispatcher and we had a standby. I told the dispatcher, send that standby on this route. No questions asked. I told the driver to come and meet me around the corner and I spoke with him. And sure enough, I could smell something. I asked him, have you been drinking? He told me he had 2 glasses of wine during dinner last night. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Last night, yes. Okay? Then I talked to HR and I talked to operation. And sure enough, I took the driver for drug and alcohol. We both signed in. I waited, he was taking me back. One of the nurse came out to the receptionist desk and looked at me straight in the eye. And she said, and I can read her and said, it's not good. It's not good. And then the nurse administering the drug and alcohol took me from the back. And she told me that the driver has an alcohol level of 0.08. What would have happened if nobody went to report that person and he had an alcohol level of 0.08? He got the, if nobody noticed, gave him the key to manifest, what could have happened, man?
A client could have been hurt.
Huh?
A client could have been hurt.
Hurt? He could have killed somebody.
Yeah.
It's our job to make sure that we work in a safe environment. We have to, I know it sounds crazy, but we still got to report it. You have a duty, a job and duty to report that. Don't prevent from someone getting hurt. Also, if you've been drinking, stay home. Don't come to work, okay? If you've been drinking heavily that night and you know that you need to report to work the next day, stay home. Do us a favor, stay home, okay? Let's talk about prescription drugs. If you've seen your doctor and they prescribe you narcotics, Actually, tell your doctor what your job is. Tell them that you drive for a living, okay? Maybe they can reduce the dose of narcotics they're prescribing you, or they might just prescribe you a different, a medicine that you can just get it over the counter, okay? If you guys were prescribed narcotics, make sure that you report it to us 24 hours a day. Not 24 hours, sir, 24 hours. We need to make sure that we get that information, okay?
I was on 272nd South. You know, where,
Yeah, yeah,
right in front of the Safeway.
yeah.
At like 11:30 at night. There was two cars going through the intersection. And one of those demon motorcycles was right in here.
What?
Hold on a second here, you guys. Got a drum roll this way or something.
There were more people, I should have actually seen. I'll name some of this for this time. 5.
So if you're reported to us 24 hours, if you're prescribed. Now, if they prescribe you a narcotic, make sure if you can't come to work, ask for a doctor's note. If you ask for a doctor's note, if you're taking some days off, you won't get a hit on your attendance, okay? Also, if you're getting anything, if you're taking anything like antihistamine, make sure you read the label in the back, because some of the antihistamine, like Sudafed, it might cause you to be drowsy, okay?
Do you have any notes to go with it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right. I can pass it on.
So if you buy anything over the counter, make sure, if you can't read that little label in the back, and some of us, sometimes we need reading glasses, and sometimes you still can't see it because it's in a small fine print, right? Well, tell you what, pharmacists, it's their duty to let you know what you're taking. Ask them, what would this do to me? I drive for a living. Would this make me drowsy? Okay? Would this impair me from driving? It's okay to ask that. They can answer that question. Okay? You don't have to report that to us, but like if you're taking Tylenol or aspirin, that's okay. But report anything that's prescribed to you. Okay? So we can work around your schedule. If you need to take that, prescription medicine at night, and you work at night, maybe we can work with you by putting you in the morning shift. We'll work with you. Operation will work with you. Okay. You are subject to random unannounced drug and alcohol testing, true or false?
True.
How many times in a year that you can go for unannounced random?
Doesn't matter. How many times?
Well, we can send you 12 times in a year. Every month.
Yeah.
So unannounced means that before or after your shift, we will send you for a random drug test. Now, when we send you for unannounced random, means that you cannot drive your own personal vehicle. Okay? We will give you a key of one of the support van, and you take the support van to go and for the random. Now, due to the COVID-19, I just want to cover this now. If you were asked if you have any symptoms and you answer on one of them, they might just ask you to go ahead and go back to your car, and the doctor will call you. But you have to stay there. Don't leave. Wait until the doctor calls you. Okay? When the doctor calls you, he's going to ask you the symptoms. He's going to pretty much determine if you have COVID-19 or not. Okay? If you don't have it, and he was asking you this question, and you don't have it, and then now they will instruct you to go back to the facility. Okay? But if you, for some reason, leave the facility and did not follow the instruction, that can result to you losing your job. Okay? So make sure follow the instruction. If you refuse the random, you just admitting that you might be an influence, and then you will lose your job then. Does everybody understand? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What is reasonable suspicion? What is a reasonable suspicion?
You suspect or you see someone acting out of norm.
Suspecting someone under the influence. How do you know when somebody, if you determine someone's in the influence? How would you find out?
Speech. Well,
If
talk.
they trip over the.
Bloodshot eyes,
They have bloodshot eyes,
smell it on them,
smelling on them,
ability to focus.
ability to focus, the way they walk or stumble, listen. Maybe they're agitated, belligerent. Would that be suspect to a random? Yes, yes it does. So let me pick on Mephi over there. Mephi, did you say you see a driver out there, he was just stumbling while walking, you know, what would you do?
Tell the supervisor.
Would you confront the person?
Yeah, I asked him, are you okay?
Okay? And then if you smell something, Mr. Schneider back there, if you smell something, what would you do?
Well, you would tell us supervisor.
Right away. Okay, good. Reasonable suspicion is when you suspect someone in the influence, under the influence, okay? Let's do some activity. Give me 5 scenarios when a drug test will be performed. Give them about when they would perform. Give me an example.
Off what?
Give me an example when we can send you for a random. One, if it's a random. What about if you get in the accident?
Yeah.
Okay? If you get in the accident, it doesn't matter if it's preventable or non-preventable. Okay? If a vehicle has to be towed, or someone has to be transported to the emergency, you're subjected to a random test. Yeah, it don't matter if it's preventable or non-preventable. Okay? Pre-employment. Okay? Reasonable suspicion. Or what about if you've been gone for
Yeah,
30 days, 60 days, 90 days?
yeah.
Yeah. Return to work, and what about if you're transferring to a different location?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Those are the 6 random: post-accident injury, pre-employment, reasonable suspicion, return to work, and transfer testing. Okay. Now we're gonna go ahead and cover drive cam, video 1 and video 2. We'll watch it twice. Let me know, as a professional driver, what would you do different than this driver here? Okay. How can you prevent the accident?
I'm so sorry about that. No, he was just,
We'll watch it one more time.
I'm so sorry about that.